Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Your Advisor. This is segment 2 of 2019. My name is Robert Goldsmith, your financial professional for more than 3 decades. And my goal on our podcast and our live Facebook program is to assist you with information that you may need on a financial basis to help improve your financial life. And remember, the number one cause of stress in life tends to be financial. So if we can assist you with your financial life, perhaps the rest of your life can flow together smoothly. Now, there's a lot of different parts to your financial life, and we're going to cover today the fail-proof way to make sure that your assets go where you want to go when it comes to leaving your legacy behind. My name is Robert Goldsmith, and we will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, is your financial GPS on course for financial disaster? The right planning avoids that. Sadly, most people have no clue if or when they'll be able to retire. It's time for Robert Goldsmith, a 30-year professional with the knowledge and experience to eliminate risk and maximize the efficiency of your hard-earned money, including a possible tax-free retirement, because all plans are not created equal.
And welcome back to Coffee with Your Advisor, segment 2, version 2, 2019. Now I'm coming to you today with a recording, and the reason is because, at this moment, while you're watching this, I am probably heading towards Los Angeles, where I've got a couple of events to attend. More importantly, a couple of things that I'm going to be doing out there, both financially and comedically. So we're going to work with you here on a video, so I appreciate you tuning in. One of the things we wanted to talk about was that there are so many different components of a financial plan. Now, we're going to be giving you about 52 different tips this year alone. Now, you might sit back and think, 52 different tips, is that really possible? The answer is probably 104, which gives me 2 years of material to cover. Is that cool? Yes, that's cool. Okay, so what I want to cover today is called the fail-proof way to pass on your estate to your family, and without a lawyer, without government intervention, without the probate system, and in such a manner that, you don't have somebody coming in and stealing your assets. Because what you may not know is a lot of people think a will can be the perfect document. You know, it's telling the courts what you wish to have happen after you pass away. But it doesn't do anything for you while you're alive. So that's an important component that you might want. Like, wouldn't you want something that works while you're living instead of just working when you're gone? Yeah, you would. And then number 2, wouldn't you want something that actually controls your assets, maybe up to 21 years after you pass away? Now imagine if you could do that. So you better make sure you tell your kids to marry somebody you like, right? So that's going to be important. So I would encourage you to definitely take a look at that aspect of it, because it gives you more control, and you can tell somebody to kiss off if you want, even from the grave. Wouldn't that be cool? So what's the difference between a will and a revocable living trust? Well, there's a lot. But rather than me tell you, I'm going to play this short 3-minute video, which, by the way, you can find on our website at financial411.net. But I also want you to just take a look at this video and listen to my alter ego tell you a little bit about the total picture, and then I'm going to cover a few of the basics components of it so that you understand the difference, the major difference between a will and a revocable living trust, and what that can do for you. Sounds like what Brown can do for you, right? Okay, so let's play that. Hang with us. Here we go.
Hello, it's me, Robert Goldsmith from Financial411.net. Quick question. With life being so uncertain, do you know what will happen with your estate when you pass on? If you haven't given much thought to it, perhaps you should. Obviously, no one likes to think about that, particularly our own. But like any good steward, it's important to have a plan in place just in case. Now, if you're like our friend Tom here, that's him over there, and you want your assets to stay with your heirs, then you have no choice but to make sure your affairs are in order before, you know. Because if you don't, your loved ones may wind up in probate. What's probate, you ask? Probate is a legal, expensive, and often time-consuming process that can take anywhere from 9 months to 2 years just to complete. And during that time, your assets are typically frozen when nothing can be passed on without the court's consent. Yuck. But there is good news. We can help you avoid probate, bring peace of mind to you and your family when you create your personal revocable living trust by using our financial 411 estate guru. And it can be done with just a few clicks of the mouse. A living trust is a private and legal document that provides detailed instructions on how you want your assets to be distributed after you're gone. Unfortunately, many people share the common misconception that all they need is a will. However, a will only tells the court what you wish to happen, and unfortunately, those wishes may never come true. Did I mention that a will doesn't avoid probate, can be easily contested by almost anyone, including those despicables trying to cash in on your death? Whereas a living trust tells everyone what will happen, making sure your wishes do come true. And here's a news flash. Assets inside a living trust don't go through probate. This means your estate can be transferred directly to your heirs without the delays, the expenses, and without making your life story a public record. With your financial 411 estate plan, your assets can remain in your trust until your beneficiaries reach a specific age, preventing court control of a minor's inheritance. If you're ever physically or mentally incapacitated, unable to manage your own financial or healthcare decisions, your trust tells the courts in advance who you'll want to make those decisions. Obviously, someone that can and will handle your affairs with integrity. And here's some food for thought. If you were to pass on prematurely, do you know who will take over custody of your minor children? With your living trust, you, not the courts, get to name the guardians of your choice, avoiding a grueling legal battle, which often happens whenever kids and your money is concerned. And unlike those fill-in-the-blank documents you buy at a retail store, your documents will be created under the direction of an estate planning attorney, one who knows how to properly prepare your documents. And yes, your attorney will be available to answer any questions before and after the completion of your trust. So why not make sure your loved ones can live on without the burden and expense of the painful probate process and without the need to make all of those difficult decisions? Isn't the grief of losing a loved one painful enough? Don't leave your family's future at risk one more day. Click on the link below and get your plan started right now, or contact us directly for more information. Remember, you create what yours and your family's future looks like by what you do today. If you do nothing, you'll likely have nothing.
Well, that was easy. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. And certainly if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to us at 877-529-6543 and get the insight and the answers to questions that you may have about your financial future, and in particular about a revocable living trust. Now, as the video mentioned and as I've mentioned before, you can go out online and you can try to get a revocable living trust, and it might look something like this. You know, if you bought those paper documents where you're getting it from some software program. But instead, I want to share with you what our revocable living trust looks like so you can see the significant difference. And here is our revocable living trust. You can first of all see that this by default, okay, let me get to the page. This by default is more than just a little booklet you would have bought online. This is a 16-chapter index with all the sections that you would require for a legacy and an estate plan. So some of the things that it covers, and I'll run through them briefly, is it covers, first of all, the certification of the trust. So you're getting the actual trust certified. Okay, that means the attorney has prepared documents that's created this entity. So it's like a garage, if you will. Now, once you get the garage open, you got to put stuff in it. Like your car is not protected because you own a garage. Your car is only protected because it's in the garage. Well, the same is true with your revocable living trust. Revocable living trust is that shell you're putting over the assets that you have built over your lifetime, and more importantly, over your family as well. Like your kids, you probably heard the video talk about your guardianship of minor children. So let's suppose you're, just had kids. You've got 1, 2, maybe 3 kids, or 2.2 in California, and you're sitting back and you're saying, well, I want to have protection, and I want to know that if something were to happen to me and my spouse, that I want to know where our kids, I want say in where our kids are going to live. I want say in their financial future. I want to know that they're going to college. I want to make sure that they get a head start in life because that's what my responsibility was. Well, you don't do that with a will. You do it with a revocable living trust. The revocable living trust gives you the documents that you need to make sure who's going to take care of your kids, what their financial situation is going to be. And if you don't care about your kids, don't do it. But if you care about your kids, you sure as heck better have one. So I'm saying you might want to look at having a revocable living trust for that. Now, number 2, you own a house, right? And when you own a house, yes, in a community property state, you probably hold title in what's called joint tenants with right of survivorship, right? Joint tenants with right of survivorship. That means we're joint. We own the property together and we have the right of survivorship if one of the owners passes away. Well, that's okay. But what if you both pass away? What if the second one passes away? Do you have your kids on title? And then if something happens with them too, you're now subject to lawsuits because something your kids may have done, maybe as teenagers or maybe as, adolescents. You don't want to do that. But you can actually take control over that by taking ownership in a different way. So you don't own your house as Mr. and Mrs. Jones, joint tenants with right of survivorship. You'll own it as Mr. and Mrs. Jones, joint tenants. Nope. You'll own it as Mr. and Mrs. Jones, trustees of the Jones Family Trust. See? So there's a substantial difference between how it's titled and how ownership is. It's interesting because in our financial world, everything isn't controlled by what we want to have happen. Things are controlled by what the documents say are supposed to happen. And you have to understand, paperwork is everything in this country. So I encourage you to start looking at a revocable living trust. Now, let's talk about some of the other documents there. A living will. Living will, you may have heard of the Terry Shalvo case years ago. It actually dictates what's to happen in case you're ever comatose, in case you're ever in a vegetative state, right? And you need to be able to make a decision as to whether you pull the plug or whether 2 or 3 of our doctors said you're going to be fine. What is the doctor prognosis? Well, you can actually outline that in your living trust and say, hey, if 3 or more doctors said I'm not going to be able to live and function properly on my own, then I have the right to, pull the life support and not burden my family with all that debt and maybe destroy the entire estate. Well, that's an important document. It's called a living will, the directive to physicians. That's included. What about a financial durable power of attorney? Let's suppose you're currently comatose, but you could come out of this. Right? In fact, they don't think you're going to be a vegetable. They think you're going to be able to function normally after a while. Well, if you have the money in the bank to pay your mortgage, but nobody has the right to pay the mortgage, then who is handling your affairs? Your house goes in foreclosure while you were in the hospital, while you were in the care of a facility. So I encourage you to really think about, do I have that prepared? Am I properly prepared? And then there's also the healthcare directive if you want to go into a nursing home, if you need that. Who has the right to make these decisions? Do you know that in community property states, the spouse may have that right? In certain states, they may not have that right, but your documents take over control. They do that. And now you pass away and your house is going to your wife or your son or your wife or your husband, but it doesn't go to your kids. Let me repeat that. If you own your house as joint tenants with right of survivorship and both of you pass away, God forbid it's a car accident, let's say. Now the kids don't automatically get that house. It goes through probate. Probate is court record. Probate means that somebody can come in and contest that. That means attorneys get rich, government takes control, and you have no say in that. So I wanted to encourage you that you want to have a revocable living trust for that reason as well. So I can go on and on like a will included inside your trust. It's a pour-over will for, let's say, items like jewelry, items like artwork, items that don't have title. And then you want to determine who's going to have them if you were to both pass on. Well, that's part and parcel of the process. Now, I am going to say that if you read the book, it'll tell you that it is a little more difficult for creditors to get to your house if it's in a trust. Now, it's not impossible. Every good attorney will tell you they could probably still get to it. But when you make things a little bit more shielded, protected, it's like that barrier that protects people from thinking about what they want to do next, deterring them from taking different actions. So revocable living trust is a perfect document for you to consider for the rest of your financial life. And here's the best part. We will even, through our attorneys, include the ability to make adjustments because you may not live in the same house 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Your kids may be older and you want to now turn over control from maybe your parents to your kids themselves. So you want to be able to make those adjustments. We'll make those adjustments for you. They're included in the package, all the adjustments. And if you need legal assistance, after you've owned your own trust and you've got it, the attorney firm will actually assist you at a much, much lower rate than it would be to go to an attorney and start over again. So we put these packages together to assist you. You can find them on our website. Now, Coffee with Your Advisor, that's where you can tune in each week and get more details. So I encourage you to go out to coffeewithyouradvisor.com, actually subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our webcast so that you can view these periodically, and we're going to archive them. So when we talk about items that are in the financial arena, you'll be able to go there and get some information. But I encourage you to give me a call. I've been doing this for over 3 decades. I've got thousands of clients. I've trained and coached over 1,800 advisors nationwide. So I'm a pretty good resource for you. And if I don't know the answer, you can bet that I'll know someone who does. So don't hesitate. Go out and think about getting one of these. And by the way, when you become one of our clients, these are offered at a substantially discounted rate. And if you do decide you want one of these revocable living trusts, which by the way, check it out. If you go to myrevocableLivingTrust.com, you'll be surprised how inexpensive they are. In some cases, lower than the price of an attorney prepared will. We're giving you the complete package for that price. So that's available to you. But what I do want you to understand is that we are here to assist you. And like I said, when you get one of these packages, we'll actually redesign and do a complete financial makeover for you at no charge. That means we'll take everything where you are, tell you what you have to do to get to where you want to go. We'll put that whole package together for you, and we do it at no additional cost. Then, if you like, we can even implement the programs for you. And what you'll find is most of our clients usually cost them zero. Now, that's zero out of pocket to get most of that stuff done. So I'm going to tell you that you need a revocable living trust if you've got kids, if you own real estate, if you've got assets sitting in a bank account, if you've got assets sitting in old 401ks. There are things that you might want to do to make sure that your assets are protected and that your family gets what they deserve. And oh, by the way, it helps take care of you while you're alive. As I said, there's a lot of other attributes to a revocable living trust. A lot of that information, as I said, you can find in the book, Henry App's The Living Trust. I have this copy, obviously. I am not an attorney, so as I said, don't believe anything I said.
That was easy.
Okay, don't believe it, okay? And if I say, should you believe it, again, I'm going to tell you.
No.
I said no, don't believe it. But I do want you to go out, get the information, and then give me a call. We'll get you on the phone with our attorneys, and we'll tell you more details about the revocable living trust and how they can work for you. Again, I'm Robert Goldsmith, and I really, really thank you all for tuning in to Coffee with Your Advisor. Next week, we'll have more tips for you. And as I said, as you're watching this, you're probably seeing me take off somewhere in the over the, I'm going to say, south portion of the United States, heading towards LA, where I'm going to be doing 2 workshops in comedic events. So I encourage you to tune in, watch what you want to watch, and we'll take this to the next level. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I'm Robert Goldsmith. Any questions, you give me a call at 877-529-6543. Write that down. Put that in your cell phone. 877-529-6543. Go out to coffeewithyouradvisor.com and subscribe to our program. You could also go out to financial411.net and certainly gather more details. There's a ton of plethora of information out there. So anyway, you have a great week. We'll see you next week. Any questions about anything we discuss, you can always reach me first and foremost. You have a great rest of your week, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the flip side.